All right. Hey guys, Spudknocker here, as always, and welcome back to DCS World, and today we've got another installment of a recording of a one-on-one training session I did with a student. Now this training session was all about bringing my student from being very proficient in the F-16 to then converting him over into being a DCS F-18C pilot. So we knew a lot of the basics, but we went ahead and transferred all that knowledge from the F-16 over into the FA-18, which is actually the first time I've done that with someone. I've taken people and brought them from the F-14 to the F-16, or the 14 to the 18, or the F-18 to the F-16, but this is the first time taking a student from the 16 to the 18. And of course he got things pretty darn quickly, and we took off and with a load of 2 GBU-38s and 2 GBU-12s to go and use the Lightning pod and how it's employed on the FA-18C, because there's quite a few differences between how the pod interfaces with the Falcon and how it interfaces with the Hornet. The HOTAS controls are completely different, but even though the pod is exactly the same. So I went ahead and did that, showed him how to engage targets with TOO mode for JDAMs, showed him how to engage targets with GBU-12s, make sure he's up to speed on how to start up the Hornet, because you can start it up pretty quick, but there's a few different things that you can miss, such as uncaging the radar altimeter, things like that that you don't have to do in the F-16. So I hope you guys enjoy watching it, and keep in mind here that I do unlimited number of one-on-one training sessions as long as it fits your schedule and my schedule, with patrons who donate $15 or more to help support the channel, the content on the channel, the missions that we fly on the Spuds Discord server, and so on. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and if hopefully you guys can pick up some cool new little knowledge bits about the F-18 as you watch this one-on-one training session. So thanks a lot, guys, and of course, fly safe out there. And also make sure you get your radar altimeter uncaged. I always forget that, and that's can be a bit of a bummer, because then you realize, oh geez, my radar altimeter is not working.
Right. And that is done with that's just the altimeter right next to the
yeah, right where it says bureau number 165407.
Wait, where are you seeing that?
So for your radar altimeter, you see where your hook is? Your tail hook switch? So there's a thing that says bureau number, B-U-N-O. And then just to the left of that, there's a little radar altimeter. And you take that little switch there and use your mouse wheel to uncage it.
I always forget about that little altimeter.
Yeah, me too. I always forget it. I always have to drill that into my head.
Yeah, it's a good thing you said something. Alright, yeah, because I usually I engage the other one, and I totally forget about the radar.
Yeah.
Alright, so FCS. Do you typically do like the self-test for FCS?
No, you really don't have to.
Alright.
And then, because we got a really heavy loadout, you probably want to go to your FCS page on one of your DDIs, and then bring the stab trim to an up position of 19.
Alright, put my stab trim at 19.
Yep. Alright, so navigation systems should be aligned and ready to go.
Alright, nav's good.
Yep. Make sure you get your raw turned on and your dispensers turned on.
That's right. Dispenser. What amount do you usually put for bingo fuel?
It really depends on what you think you need for that mission. I usually tend to put it about half of my total fuel. Right now that'd be kind of excessive, so I just put it at 7,000. You know, I kind of like to make sure I get a reminder of my fuel when I'm at a point in which I have enough gas to either make it home or to get to a tanker.
Right, right.
Yep.
Alrighty, so RWR is on, Spencer is on. I got, let's see, anything, Bulldog's on.
Yep. You can go ahead and take your FLIR switch that's just above your radar switch and turn that into standby mode.
FLIR to standby. So what's the FLIR?
FLIR is the targeting pod.
Oh, you know what? Okay, that's why I've never been able to use it.
Yeah.
Alright, got it.
Okay. Fantastic. So, we should be ready to taxi here. And we're going to go for runway 09er. And,
okay.
so that's going to be come out of the hangar, hook a right-hand turn, and then we'll make a left-hand turn. So, when I do training here, I always have the student fly the lead, because that way you don't have to worry about trying to stay with me and manipulate things in your cockpit. So that can be helpful there. And then at any time while we're flying here, I can always pause the server very quickly and easily, so just let me know if you're getting overwhelmed by something and need like a little break, or you need to kind of like catch up, things like that.
No worries, I appreciate that.
Okay, so make sure we got flaps to half, have your hook bypass set to field, as well as make sure your anti-skid is on.
Anti-skid is on. Hook bypass to field.
All right, I think we are good to go.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, I'll start taxiing out.
Copy.
Parking brake off.
That helps. Yep, so just make a right-hand turn. Have you ever looked into or learned how to read taxiway signage? So
I actually.
Sorry, I think I said left earlier. That's my mistake.
No worries. Got that high angle nose wheel steering.
Yep.
So I've tried and I didn't really like understand it too.
Okay, stop
too
here.
Well.
Make sure to taxi nice and slow. You don't want to taxi any faster than about a slow jogging pace or a fast walking pace. And that's especially true if you go to like flying the F-16s sometime, because if you taxi as fast as you just did in the Hornet here, you'll tip it over onto its side.
Yeah, I've already done that in the F-16. That's a really light boy.
Yep, little tiny landing gear. So see the little yellow signs that are to the left and right of our jet right now? You might be a little bit... Okay, so...
I saw it though, yeah, it's A and B.
Yeah, so taxiway Alpha is to our left, taxiway Bravo is to our right. Whenever we have a yellow sign with black lettering, that's where we're going to be going, so we could go left onto Alpha or right onto Bravo. And up by taxiway Alpha that goes into the runway, we'll see another signage that is a black background with yellow lettering that tells us we're on taxiway Alpha, tells us where we are. Then the sign next to it is going to be the runway sign, letting us know what runway we're going to be going into. So go ahead and make a 90-degree left-hand turn, and we'll head out towards runway 09.
Copy.
You can probably taxi a little bit faster, but not too much faster.
Right, slowly increase.
Yep.
And right here's a sign saying taxiway alpha runway 0927.
Yep. So the runway sign there was 09 and 27 just shows us the runway numbers, and because the one that's closest to us, the number 09er, means we're entering runway 09.
Right, that was going to be my second question. So on the opposite side, it would have been 2709er, like for taxiway.
Well, the signage would have been the same. It's just the fact that the part that's closest to us is going to be runway 27. And the runway numbers are very similar to, or they're based off of the heading of that runway. So runway 09er is a heading of 090, so that kind of can help you understand where that runway is and how to get lined up for it when you're coming in for a landing, or when you're taking off, you know what heading you're taking off on.
Right. Yeah,
they're not exact, they're rounded usually. And I think that the runway here is actually at a heading of 085. But it's kind of like a, horseshoes and hand grenades kind of thing. When you're just doing VFR, it doesn't matter. When you get into more like complicated kind of IFR situations, it matters a little bit more, but there's ways to find the exact heading. So that's no problem.
Got it.
So go ahead and take the runway here, line up on the center line, and go ahead and take on off and head out towards waypoint 1. Let's climb up to 15,000 feet and a speed of 350 knots.
Copy. Rolling to runway.
Roger.
That was probably a little too fast, but...
A little bit. Just take your time. There's no rush. I like the Kuwaiti camo on the Hornet. It just looks really cool to me.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. I like it too. Alright, so ready for takeoff. I'm going to start spooling.
Yep, go for it. Alright, I'm coming in behind you.
Copy.
Alright, gear and flaps are up.
Gear up, flaps up. Climbing to 1500 or 15,000 or 15.
Let's go for 15,000. And when you're climbing up, you don't need to climb so steeply. So you're coming off the runway, you can just climb at, say, maybe at most 15 degrees nose up.
Copy.
Unless you're doing, unless you have a reason to, like you're trying to do a maximum performance takeoff to get away from the traffic pattern as quickly as you can or something like that. But with a big, heavy, draggy loadout like this, about 15 degrees nose up is a pretty good way to climb.
Copy.
Yep. Alright, did you get your IFF and your data link turned on?
I'm doing it right now.
Roger. I forgot that myself.
All good.
Alright, you should be able to see me on the SA page. I'm just kind of in trail with you right now.
I see ya. Do you usually keep it up on the right DDI?
I usually actually put it on the MPCD between my knees.
Got. Yeah, the regular map is kind of hard with all the stuff I find as well.
You can actually turn that map off if you want. I actually find myself actually turning the map on and off on my SA page, so I can get kind of an idea of, like, say my wingman is near some water. Is he over the beach? Is he over the land? Is he on the water still? Things like that that can be kind of good to see kind of at a glance.
Gotcha.
So you should be
all right.
coming up on waypoint 1 here, and so let's bring it left towards waypoint 2.
All right. And was there a way for like to have the waypoints automatically update, or do you have to toggle through all of them? Because I hit sequence so I can see the path, and I highlighted waypoint, and now I'm looking at waypoint.
There is. I'm forgetting exactly how to. Oh, there's a button called Auto. That is on the bottom right.
Okay.
Yep. Of the essay page, and it will automatically sequence through them. I find that to be kind of annoying when it does that, actually, because if you're paying attention, it's not a big deal.
Right, and it's only really, and like if you, I think like if you miss it by a little bit, like it won't like hit it pretty dead on. Or...
Yeah, exactly. And when you're working with your targeting pod around a target, and say you have a waypoint that's near your target that you want to keep, even though you're flying over it, you don't really want it to change. So that's kind of my take on it. I just like kind of cycling it through it manually. I know that other people find that annoying, but once you get more into the systems of the Hornet, I think you'll find it to be easier to just do it manually.
Copy. All right, I am heading towards waypoint 2. I am lowering my speed to...
Yep, I'm at your 3 o'clock here. Or sorry, not 3 o'clock, about your 5 o'clock right now, coming up on you. Okay, so we're gonna hit one switch here. Whoop, came past you a little bit. Idle boards. Watch that speed.
Right, okay, yeah, I'm at 301 right now. Oh, 350? Okay.
Yep, let's go for 350. And go ahead and bring that FLIR switch from standby into the on position.
Copy, FLIR on.
Yep. And you can always use your auto throttles once we get up to 350. So that way you can kind of use that and take some workload off of you. And we can also use the autopilot modes to take some workload off. So that way we can concentrate on working our weapons and targeting pod.
Copy. So autopilot will just barometric altitude?
Yeah. We're a little bit off of our 15,000 foot mark, but that's fine. We'll just stay right here.
Yeah, I lost track for a second. I wasn't paying attention. Shot right there.
That's okay. So far, even though we have come off our airspeed and our altitude, you're still flying very smoothly and gently, and I really like that. Because having some good fundamentals of being able to fly smoothly and gently will make weapons employment for things like laser-guided bombs and stuff like that much, much easier than if you're kind of a crazy, all-over-the-place pilot.
Right, right.
Yep.
I'm fixing my course a little bit, or a little bit off the heading, but just gently to the left.
Yep, so we had wind that was coming straight down the pipe on that runway, and so now we're flying into a direct crosswind, so we're going to have to make some wind corrections to our heading once in a while here, which is no big deal.
Got it.
Yep. Alright, so we'll go ahead and bring up our stores page on our left-hand DDI. Keep the radar page up on the right-hand DDI, so that way we can have that kind of situational awareness as to what's out in front of us.
Copy.
And let's open up the A-18C LG for laser-guided bombs. It's made out of a Mark 82, mated with a LG laser guidance kit.
Copy. A-18C LG selected.
Yep, so for M-Fuse, we want to have that set to off, and by default that is set to off. So we just want to set the E-Fuse to instantaneous.
Copy. E-Fuse instant.
Yep. And so that should be good there. And why don't we go ahead and enter in a code. Why don't you use the default code 1688, and I will use the code 1687.
Copy. Code 1688.
Roger, you got that in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So I like to make sure that I have as much of my weapons stuff set up and ready to go as possible before I get into a situation where I might get into combat. Just so that way I don't have to concentrate so much on getting my things in my cockpit ready to go. I can keep my eyes outside of the cockpit looking for threats and things like that. And so we've got a little bit of a ways to go here. But what we're going to do when we hit waypoint 2, which will be almost directly over the airport at Kasab out in front of us, is we're going to turn our aircraft into master mode air to ground. And then we're going to go ahead and find Greater Tomb Island with our air-to-ground radar. We're going to place a marked point on the Greater Tomb Island, and then we'll slave our targeting pod onto that point. And then we'll find tanks and different kinds of vehicles and things like that around the island to actually attack with our weapons.
Copy.
So, sounds like a lot, but I'm just kind of briefing you here on what we're going to be doing, so that way you're not surprised.
No worries.
And, okay.
And while we're cruising, do you mind if I ask a couple questions? So on the SA page, or on the radar page, I see, or well, I forgot which one our bottom is set to. I think it was SA.
Yep.
So I see like 2 yellow markers towards the east.
Yeah.
Those are unknown aircraft. I know the different boxes mean different things. Right now, like, if I tried to interrogate, like IFF interrogate...
Yeah. So you can only interrogate a contact that you actually see on radar. If you look at that contact that's close to us and you look at almost your 12 o'clock coming through your 11 o'clock through 1 o'clock, that's actually a tanker.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and you can probably interrogate him. He's probably on radar here. Let's see.
Yeah,
pull him up on radar. Yeah, and, yep. I don't know if you interrogated him or if the AWACS did, but now, at least on my screen, he's now coming back as a friendly contact. But yeah, so for the most part, well, for every time, the green is friendly, yellow's unknown, and red is going to be enemy. You can also more or less assume that if you have an unknown that is right next to and clustered in with a bunch of enemy aircraft, you can more or less assume that guy is going to be a bad guy, unless for whatever reason a friendly got caught up inside a bunch of bad guy contacts.
Right. Yeah, so I don't think, I mean, I'm pretty sure I see him on my radar, but...
He's pretty close.
He's still yellow.
You won't be able to see him anymore because he's outside of your radar gimbal range. Just turn to the left.
Okay.
He's over your shoulder now. But
got it. I think, you know what? I think I got somebody to pop up green, so I don't know.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and put our aircraft into air-to-ground master mode, and we'll just kind of preempt the turn up here. And we can see our radar page is now switched over to that very cool new air-to-ground mode. And I'm going to push it out to about 80 nautical miles, and if you do push it out to 80 nautical miles, you should be able to see a lot of the topography out there that is the Strait of Hormuz. So we can see Keshem Island, we can see Larak Island, we can see Hormuz Island, and we can see the big old city out there that is Bandar Abbas.
Got it.
So that's pretty cool. And then when
I would say, so the lighter portions, would that be the city, or is it darker portions?
Yeah, so it's going to be that lighter portion is going to be the city. So the dark portions are water.
Got it.
So yeah, so wider areas are areas with stronger radar returns. And so that's going to be things like mountains or cities, whereas darker places are going to be where radar isn't returning and being absorbed, like from water, like the ocean or the Strait of Hormuz, or the shadow behind a mountain where we're not getting any radar contact back from.
Right.
Things like that. So let's go ahead and bring our jet around to waypoint 3, which should be right on top of the Strait of Hormuz, or sorry, the Greater Tomb Island.
Got it. I'm fixing my heading.
Alright. You came left a little early there, so you're way out in front of me, but that's okay. We won't worry about it. Go ahead and arm up your jet. Master arm on.
Arm.
And do you have above auto on your HUD? Does it say dud for anything?
It does not say dud.
Okay, well that's good. That means we've got our weapons set up correctly. Alright, so out in front of you now, as you fly directly at waypoint 3, you should be able to get some very faint radar contacts directly on your nose, on the air-to-ground radar. And those contacts are 2 islands, Greater Tomb and Lesser Tomb Island. The bigger contact is going to be Greater Tomb, and the smaller contact is going to be Lesser Tomb Island.
Copy.
And what we want to do is we want to go sensor select switch right, or to whichever DDI you have your you have the radar page on, so that way you can then slew around the captain's bars, the radar cursor.
Got it. Yeah, I'm able to slew.
Okay. Put the captain's bars right over that island, and then press TDC to press to lock that point you have the captain's bars over.
Copy, it's locked.
Roger that. I've got it locked as well. And you should have now a diamond on your HUD with a fall line. Do you have that diamond and fall line?
Yes, I got it.
And
I see the fall line with the diamond on the island.
Perfect. That should be superimposed on the island, which you already said it was, which is fantastic. That means we locked up a portion of that island, and that is now where the mission computer of our F-18 is looking to actually do a CCRP drop onto the island. So now we can get rid of our air-to-ground radar. We don't need that anymore. We've already got our point locked, and we can bring up the FLIR page. Let me know when you have your FLIR up.
Let me swap to it. Which is that? Does it?
So it's on your TAC page. It's FLIR. It's up in the top left.
Got it. I see it.
Yep. So bring that up. And so now you should be able to see a view through your targeting pod. Looks like a green camera.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now we want to go sensor select switch to the right again to slave our TDC to that point. And we can now slew where the targeting pod is looking. So there's targets around that smoke on the island because that's close to the airfield, and there should be some tanks and APCs and trucks and things like that around the airfield.
Yes, I see them all.
Okay. And you can use the RAID FOV button to increase and decrease the FOV, as well as you can use the radar antenna buttons to zoom in and zoom out the pod.
You know what? I don't think I have those found, but I can click on them for now.
Okay, why don't I pause the server and you can get those bound.
Got it.
Because that's going to make it a lot easier on you if you have those bound.
So that was the radar.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll give you the exact names of them, so that way it make it easier.
Got it.
So that's radar elevation control down and up.
All right, let me see what I'm going to put it at.
Usually good to have those on the throttle.
Now, is this a universal, like, if I had this on the air radar, would this also adjust the range of that as well? Or?
So this controls both the zoom on the targeting pod as well as the elevation of your radar antenna. not the range of your radar.
Got it, because I had buttons that were just like I bound like the two DDI buttons that were like up range and down range. So I was just wondering if that kind of did the same thing, so I could not have
No,
right.
they don't. It just controls the elevation of the antenna.
Gotcha. Okay, no worries.
Yep. And then the third thing you want to have mapped is the RAID/FLIR FOV select button, which is just above the radar elevation controls.
All right, RAID/FLIR FOV. Okay, I have that bound. Let's just figure out which.
Yep. Just let me know when you're ready for the unpause.
Will do. I'm just trying to find this.
Yep. If you just like kind of press all your buttons, like eventually it'll pop up as to which one that one is.
Yeah, I think I found it.
Okay, cool.
All right. So the FOV select button will which one does that do?
So there's two ways to zoom the pod. There's FOV zoom, which is pressing that FLIR RAID button, and that will kind of give you a big amount of zoom in or a big amount of zoom out. And then the radar elevation antenna, or sorry, radar antenna elevation buttons will kind of be an incremental kind of step to zoom in and step to zoom out kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So because you're pretty close to the island at this point, when you find a target and you get your targeting pod slewed over the top of a target, tank, helicopter on the ramp, whatever, it doesn't matter, hit TDC depress, and then you're probably going to have to go around and come back for another pass to actually drop the weapon, because you're pretty darn close to the island here. So just take your time. Don't feel rushed to get a bomb off. We're just kind of practicing the procedures and steps for it.
Got it.
All right, here we go.
All right, so I see. Right, let me try the.
And if you put the pod into FLIR mode, with the bottom left DDI button, you'll be able to see things a little bit clearer through a thermal camera rather than through the TV camera.
Got it. Yeah, that's way better.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then I'm just testing out the zoom. Okay. Yeah, I see how that's just a snap zoom versus like a just gradual.
Yeah. And keep in mind here, you're in full afterburner going almost 500 knots. You can slow it down a bit so that way you can, have a little bit more time to look for targets and things.
Yeah, no, I have my my hand on the throttle, and I kind of just pushed it forward, and it disengaged the auto throttles.
Yeah,
that was
that's
not
okay.
All right, so I'll definitely do it. We'll do another pass around, and I'll get the bomb.
Yep. And okay, so there's one more thing we need to hit in the cockpit for you to be able to actually start dropping bombs, and that is next to the FLIR switch. There's a switch labeled LTD/R. You need to hit that to arm, so that way your laser will actually be armed and ready to fire.
Got it.
Now, once you get the LTD/R set on the console, you'll have a new option on your FLIR page called Trig. You want to make sure that's boxed.
Okay, trigger boxed.
So that way it takes the trigger away from your gun and makes it so that the trigger now activates the laser. So when you're flying over the target, you can either let the jet auto laze for you, or you can squeeze the trigger and manually laze the target.
Got it. All right. So and now like we're past the target. Say because this is kind of out. Like say in the future I pass the target again, I could punch out, turn around, and then reacquire the island through my ground radar, and then switch back to the actual vision from the data link or lightning.
Well, you could. But something that's a lot easier is when you turn around here, your pod will become unmasked and it'll be looking at the same point at which you left it looking at.
Right. I was messing with the pod, so that's why I was saying that. So I don't know if it will or will not be looking at.
If it's just a blank screen, not showing anything, it will hopefully come back to your original point. But if not, you can definitely reacquire the island with the air-to-ground radar, or you can put the pod into VVSL for velocity vector slave, fly the velocity vector over the island, and then hit TDC to press, and it will be locked onto the island that way. So there's multiple ways to get the same result.
Got it. All right, we'll go ahead and I think we're far out. We could whip it around real.
Yep. You should be plenty of distance.
Chevy Glen 1, Dark Star Glen 1, Bra 072 for Glen 110 at 18,000 gold.
I go ahead and drop a bomb here while I'm waiting for you to come around.
All right. All right. Oh, and actually so I still have the drop line and the diamond on the island.
Well, then your targeting pod should be able to see the island, and
it actually wasn't too far away from.
Yeah. So then make sure that when you find a target and you slew the pod over that target, press TDC to press again, so that way you update the point at which the computer in the Hornet is keeping in memory, so that way it will CCRP drop on the correct point, as well as it will remember where you're looking, so in case you mask that pod again, it will just come right back to the same place.
Right, okay, so I'm looking for a target now. I think
You're pretty far out to be able to break out individual tanks and things.
Got it.
But on the ramp next to the actual fire that's down there on the airport, there's like 4 helicopters stacked up, and I'm about to drop a bomb on one of them.
Got it. I see those helicopters now.
Yep.
I think is that a Shuka that's like right a tank that's their AAA that's to the left.
Yep. You can engage whatever target you want.
Let's see if I can take him out. And then after that, it's just weapon release. I have the trigger engaged.
Yep.
It's boxed. And do I need to hold, or do I just...
You can either let the laser fire automatically, or you can hold the trigger down to manually laser it.
Alright, I dropped. I just hit my weapon release, so...
Alright. Alright, I just hit one of those helicopters. All right, your weapon's tracking.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here it comes. And direct hit.
Boom.
Pretty cool, right?
That was awesome.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and fly on out for a ways, come back around, drop that other laser-guided bomb, and then we'll move into JDAM target of opportunity modes.
Got it. And this was the GBU, which ones? The
GBU 12.
Got it.
So that's the 500-pound flavor. The GBU 16 is the 1,000-pound flavor. And the GBU 10 is the 2,000-pound flavor of laser-guided bomb.
Got it, got it.
Yep. And then for the JDAMs, the GBU 38 is the 500-pounder. And the GBU, 32 is the 2,000-pounder.
Got it.
Yep, so once you get about, like, maybe 14, 15 or so nautical miles away from waypoint 3, you should be good to turn back around and come back into the target.
Copy. I'm at 12. Once I hit 13, I'll whip.
Whip it back around. And keep in mind here, the one thing that's cool about the targeting pod is you don't have to be flying directly nose on to your target to actually look and find targets. So that way you can still have a visual on the area you're looking for targets, so say the island, so you could be able to see it if they shoot a SAM up at you or something like that. So,
right.
Because if it's directly under your nose, you're not going to be able to see that. Now, one thing to also keep in mind with this is your targeting pod is on the left-hand side of the jet, so you want to have the target off to the left-hand side of your jet when you're looking for those kinds of things.
Got it. So it eliminates like the dead zone or like blind.
Exactly. I'm gonna go after tank this time. Alright.
I think I see a couple at the very beginning of the runway.
Yep, there's kind of a group of vehicles at both ends of the runway. I'm going after a T-72 right in the middle of the runway by that ramp full of helicopters.
Now, is there a range preference? Like, at what point should I release the?
You want to release the weapon when you get the fall line on the HUD. So when you get close enough to the target, it'll say, you know, it'll give you a countdown in seconds to when you should drop the weapon. And there will be a little horizontal line that falls down the fall line of the HUD. And once it does, you'll go ahead and drop the weapon once it crosses through your velocity vector, and then you'll be good to go. Wow, my bomb just barely missed that tank.
Yeah, I got a little too close. I'm just gonna punch out a.
Rod. And you can kind of play with it, kind of adjusting what the angle is in respect to your target, so that way you can kind of see when and where the pod gets masked, so that you can see at what points you can keep looking for targets and at what points you're going to have to stop looking for targets, things like that.
Right, right.
Alright, I am out. Yep.
Is there a way to like make waypoints on the fly as you're in the air, or does that all have to be done on the planning page?
You can make waypoints on the fly, and we can go over that as soon as you drop your second GBU 12.
Will do.
Yep, don't want to throw too much at you at once.
No worries. Like, if we're gonna go over it, just feel free to tell me. I'm just like
Okay.
spitballing questions that come across my mind. Doesn't mean we have to like do that.
Okay, so basically on your HSI page, you can go into the data page, then you scroll up to the next blank waypoint, which in our case I believe would be waypoint 9. I think we have 8 waypoints in our jet right now. And you would hit the UFC button, and then you could input the coordinates of your new waypoint and its altitude on your UFC, and then there's your new waypoint.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
All right, I'm closing in on the target.
Roger. Remember to trim the jet back out now that you've got some weight off of the right side of your jet.
Copy.
You kind of see a little wing wobble on you, so I figured that was probably the problem.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm fixing the trim. Alright, so when I designate the target, I want to get that drop line right down the center.
Yep, you want to put it right down the center of your velocity vector.
Alright, weapons away, I think.
Nope, weapon didn't come away.
Didn't go. I saw. Oh wait, it's I got a 20-second TTI. Did not go.
I think maybe you weren't holding the weapon release button. So when you see that horizontal line start to come down the fall line, you want to start pressing and holding your weapon release button, your pickle button, and then when that fall line crosses your velocity vector, it will then authorize the computer to drop the weapon.
Got it. I'll make this quick. I'll get this thing off. Just 1 second.
No worries. It's all a learning process. It's definitely not the easiest or most intuitive thing in the world.
Yeah. It's gonna burn a little bit so I get some distance.
How you doing on fuel?
I got 9,200.
Roger.
Come back around.
Okay.
Oh wait, I don't think I was. Yeah, there it is.
What are you dropping on?
I believe it's a T-72 at the beginning of the runway.
Okay. Is that on the left side of the runway, or the south side, or the north side of the runway?
I believe it is on.
North is towards Bandar Abbas.
I believe it's on the south side. I think it's by the runway marking 03 last time I saw it.
Okay. See.
All right, so I got a 30-second release.
Okay. Now, once you start to see that horizontal line come across the fall line, you want to start pressing and holding that pickle button, letting the jet know you're authorizing the release of the weapon, and then when it crosses through your velocity vector, it will automatically release that weapon.
Copy. Been free.
All right, your weapon is away.
I might have been a bit too high up because I didn't see the that horizontal line come down.
Okay. Well, weapon's away. Let's see if it's tracking. That's not tracking. Were you lasing? Do you have your laser armed?
Let's see.
Is the LTDR
Oh,
armed?
that got flipped back to save.
Yep.
Rip. Yeah, so
Yeah.
every time you release, you have to flip that back on?
Yep, you do.
Damn. Alright. I thought it was just like, okay, it's armed. Got it. Alright, well, that was my mistake.
Yeah, it might be a bug that's in there. I'm not sure because when I dropped my second bomb, it stayed in the armed position. But anyway, we'll just move on to the JDAM, the 500-pound GBU-38 that we got on our left wings here. So on your stores page, go ahead and go to J82.
Copy.
And we now have a timer that counts down from 10 minutes. And that's actually aligning the little gyros and sensors that are inside the guidance kit of the weapon for it to actually guide via GPS and INS signals. And so what we want to do is for mode, right now the mode is pre-planned or PP. We want to go to mode TOO, so hit the TOO or the mode button to go to TOO.
Got it. TOO.
E-fuse to instant.
E-fuse instant.
Yep, and then on the right-hand side, there's a button called JDAM display. Want to hit that?
On it.
Okay, so now, it's kind of cool actually, the way these JDAMs work is, all you gotta do is kind of like dropping a laser-guided bomb, but all you gotta do is put your laser, or your targeting pod over a target, hit TDC to press, while you have the JDAM display up on one of your DDIs, and that will automatically load the coordinates of the target you're looking at into the bomb, and that bomb will hit that point no matter what. Unless something goes horribly wrong with the bomb itself. So it's a fire and forget weapon. You can break away and do whatever you want. After you drop the weapon, it will guide itself. It doesn't need a laser.
Got it. So can we go over that one more time? Just the whole. Okay, so on the JDAM display, we can put it onto.
Yep. So we want to put the JDAM display onto your left-hand DDI, and then go to the MSN mission page.
Got it.
And now when you slew your targeting pod over a point and you hit TDC to press, it will load those coordinates into that mission page, and that will be where your bomb will hit. And you can actually kind of play with it a little bit by slewing your pod around at different spots and hitting the TDC to press, and you'll see those coordinates change.
Oh, okay, let me see. So I targeted like 3 helicopters, or the middle helicopter, and I got like the ORP, like northing, easting, and elevation. Is that what that's the
Yep.
coordinates to that?
Yep, that's the coordinates to that helicopter where the bomb is going to hit. Now,
got it, nice.
yeah, so if you open up your HSI and you put your HSI on one of your DDIs now, or you put it on the MPCD, you'll be able to see a ring around the point at which you actually designated for the bomb. And once you're pointed at the point you designated and you're inside that ring, you'll get what's called an in-range queue, on the HUD, and you can press the pickle button, the bomb will fall away and do its thing and hit its target.
Got it, got it. I see. Okay, yeah, I got a minute timer. I see that ring.
Yep.
And then there's also I know that there's that little cone that's in zone. Is there a benefit to being in zone?
Yeah, so the closer you are to being in zone, the more accurate your bomb is going to be. And the more velocity that bomb will have when it hits, which means it's going to be more accurate.
Nice. All right, I'm getting ready to drop right now. I'm in zone.
And there it goes. I'm going to come back around and drop my bomb. Bomb looks like it's tracking.
So far, so good.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And good hit.
Nice.
Cool, right?
That was awesome.
Alright, so there goes my bomb. And what's cool about it also, beyond it just being fire and forget, is you don't need it to be as absolutely as precise in your flight path to the drop zone that you do have to be with the LGB, because you don't have to be right on that fall line and all that kind of stuff. The bomb will more or less take care of that for you. So my bomb's coming in on top of a little AAA truck.
I'm watching it right now. Meow.
And kaboom. And
Nice.
then all you got to do is come back around towards the target, slew your targeting pod over a new target, TDC to press, and your next bomb will be ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind here is your JDAMs require spin-up time. So that 10-minute countdown, once it gets to 7 minutes and 30 seconds, it's ready to go. But if you decide to use a different weapon, like say you decide to now drop an LGB, if we had another LGB, and you go back to that JDAM, it's going to have to start its countdown again. So just keep that in mind.
Got it.
Alright, I've got you in sight. I'm going to come around to the opposite side you are so we don't get into a air-to-air collision.
Oh, what's up? Alright, I'm just looking for a target.
And so, me asking you questions like, what side of the runway, you know, is it the north side or the south side of the runway? That's kind of like prompting you to make sure you have good situational awareness as to where you're dropping that bomb. So if you're in a multiplayer mission or something like that, you can communicate effectively where your targets are and these kinds of things.
Right, right.
Okay. I'm in range. So here's something else to keep in mind when you're dropping JDAMs. When you're in zone, the closer you are to the target, but still being in zone, the steeper the dive angle of your bomb is going to be coming down to your target. Whereas the further you are out, the shallower the dive angle is going to be for the bomb coming to the target. The steeper the dive angle for that bomb, the faster it's going to be going, which means it's going to be more accurate. So that's just something else to kind of keep in mind.
Chevy 11, Dark Star 11, Bra 006, 450.
I like dropping these little JDAMs. They're fun because you can carry a bunch of them, and they're just fun because they're not much work to actually use.
Yeah, not at all. My weapon away. These are so awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. It's kind of like, why take any other type of weapon? But
yeah, exactly.
JDAMs do have one thing that isn't really going for them, is they can't hit moving targets. So if you're going after, you know, a convoy of trucks, you won't be able to hit them with a JDAM.
Yeah, I think whereas if you were designating a target for a GBU, like it would track it better.
Yeah, so because we're going after static, basically a waypoint or static coordinates with a JDAM, that's not a moving target. So, but with a laser guided bomb, we can keep our targeting pod in a point track on a truck that's rolling across the highway, and it will keep that laser on that truck, and that bomb will be able to follow the laser on the truck. Whereas with that JDAM, the coordinate's not going to move.
Right. Yeah, because we're designating just a point, we're not lasing to the JDAM. The JDAM's only got GPS.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing to keep in mind, and that's where things like laser-guided bombs and laser mavericks and IR-guided mavericks kind of come into their own, as those kind of moving targets.
Right.
So, at this point, we have used all of our weapons, and we're getting a little bit lower on gas, so why don't we head direct to waypoint, let's see, waypoint 7. And that's going to line us up for a landing back home in Almin Hot Air Base.
Got it.
Alright, I'm going to pull up my essay page again here. And that way I can join back up with you. Alright, I see you out there.
Yep, I'm lowering my speed.
It looks like you're flying.
I was trying to find the waypoint on my screen real quick. It should be direct.
Yeah, just waypoint 7.
Towards the south. Yeah, 7.
Yep.
Yeah, I got that.
Fly in here and intercept you as you fly to waypoint 7. And at this point we can kind of flow back to a kind of a navigation mode by turning off air to ground mode. We can bring up the radar page again. That's always a good thing to have up. We can go to,
I think wait, am I? So, at the bearing, like the tape at the top, I'm following the diamond now, or
so you can go. You're going after the little tick mark. So what you want to do is
I don't know. I only have a diamond now. I don't know why the tick mark's not there.
So hit the undesignate switch on your stick.
Got it. It went away.
Yep.
Up, and there's the waypoint. Got it.
Yep. And you'll be flying down at a heading of almost due south.
For the IFF interrogate, that's the sensor control switch depress, right? That's the bind.
Yep.
Okay,
Sure is. Have you ever used the FPass page before?
No, I can't say that I have.
Alright, well why don't we do that? So, what the FPass page does for us is it is basically a flight planning and assistance page. And so it's on the support page. You can bring it up on one of your DDIs.
I got it up right now.
Alright, and so what it can do for us is, we're getting a little low on gas right now. What's your fuel state?
My bingo went off like 500 pounds ago, so I'm at 65.
Okay. So now what we can do is we can, for best endurance or best range, it'll give us an airspeed readout in Mach. So for best endurance, which is the maximum amount of time in the air we can fly, our best Mach would be about 0.4. It's pretty slow. It's probably down at about 250-ish knots. And then our best endurance, or sorry, our best range would be at Mach 0.83. So it's basically doing a numerical calculation as to what throttle setting and how fast should we fly to get the best range out of our remaining gas, or the best time in the air out of our remaining gas. And so, because we're flying home right now, I would go for best range airspeed, but for flying, you know, say we're trying to maximize our time on station, helping out some guys on the ground, we'd probably want to fly at our maximum endurance airspeed, which would be more helpful. So right now, it's the FPass page is actually telling us a best Mach to get to our home base is a Mach 0.5, which we can see on our HUD on the Mach meter, but we'll have plenty of gas to get there. It's no problem. It's just kind of something cool to play with and know about. It's definitely saved a few pilots in my missions who are trying to find tankers.
Yeah, tankers are the bane of my existence currently.
Oh, really? We can work on that too.
No, yeah, that's like something, you know, as far as like all the self-learning I've done on the F-18, that's one thing that just hasn't improved whatsoever.
Yeah, it really requires like you to spend, you know, a good amount of time, you know, 2 hours or so, with just the right frame of mind that's like, I'm not going to get frustrated, I'm not going to get mad, I'm just going to keep doing it and just stay relaxed and just kind of go for it. Because if you get to a point where you get, you know, frustrated with it, it's not going to work, because you're going to get tense, you're going to get anxious, and you're going to get sloppy as a result. Playing baseball most of my life, I was always told, you know, relaxed muscles are precise and fast muscles, whereas tense muscles are jerky and slow. So if you stay nice and relaxed on the stick and throttle, and you're just, you know, having a good time, listening to some music, talking to someone, making some conversation, it goes really easy, really fast, because you're just nice and relaxed and precise. But if you're tense and you're gripping the controls super hard and you're worried and you're anxious, it's not going to go very well.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that.
Yeah,
I've tried to keep my staying relaxed. I think like I've gotten like a connection and even fuel flow, but then it's just like how to keep that. I end up just disconnecting myself. I mean, I know, like, in hindsight, I totally forgot about the auto throttle. That probably was a thing to do, you know, so I'm not like...
Well, auto throttle actually doesn't help very much with the tanker, because you need to make such minute throttle adjustments, because you have to get into the basket, then you have to slow down a little bit so you don't hit the tanker, then you have to equalize speed with the tanker. It really requires just gentle movements of the throttle, and you can really practice this. Like, I'm doing the exact same thing with the throttle right now, just flying in formation with you, than I would be on a tanker. And so I like to call it stroking the throttle rather than moving the throttle. So say if I need to gain just a hair of airspeed because you're starting to pull away from me just a hair, then I will push the throttle up and return it to its original position I had it in. So if the opposite happens, if I'm moving up a little bit on you, I'll just pull the throttle back just a hair and push it right back to where I started. Because if I'm behind the tanker, if I'm flying in formation with you, and I push the throttle up and I just leave it there, I'm just going to keep on accelerating out in front of you. Or if I pull the throttle back and just leave it there, I'm just going to keep decelerating and come away from you. Same thing with the tanker.
You know what? And I think that's kind of the theory I was missing, because in my head, like, I was doing the small increments, but I wasn't doing just a, like, you know, up one, down one, then return, up return, down return, and then like, because I would keep it there and then I'd have to correct based off of, okay, now I'm going too fast, now I'm going too slow, and I didn't have that. I didn't realize what that was doing to me. So you know what? That might fix a lot, because it's really, for me, it's now I'm going too fast, now I'm going too slow, now I'm going too fast, now I'm going too slow, and doing that just distracting me from actually being able to keep my, you know, heading and same attitude and all that. So that might help a lot. Actually.
So what you can do is, when you pull up to a tanker, especially when you're practicing, don't just go for the basket right away. You know, try and fly formation with her for a little bit, and, you know, get to a throttle position where, you know, you're getting roughly about equal airspeed with the tanker, and then that's kind of your center point to adjust from. Push it up a little bit to inch up, bring it right back. Pull it back a little bit, you know, to bring it back a little bit, and then push it right back to that center position. So that way you're constantly able to have a position to come back to, so that way you're not just kind of moving the throttle around willy-nilly. So we'll go ahead and push it up to waypoint 8, and why don't we put a course line on there, so that way we can get nice and lined up with the runway. Do you know how to use a course line?
Yeah, there's the little course knob, and I can use that to...
Yeah, so push waypoint 8, and then use the course line to put in a course of 090, the same heading as the runway, so that way we get nice and lined up with the runway. We'll start a gentle descent down to about 3,000 feet.
Does the course line work on the SA page, or am I doing something wrong?
You want to go back to the HSI.
Got it, HSI.
Yep.
And then we want to make that heading
090.
Got it.
Because we're going to be landing on runway 09. Alright, so start descending now. Let's come on down to about 3,000 feet. And we want to kind of make a turn so that we fly right on top of that course line.
Alright, descending.
Yep. Alright, we're getting pretty close to that course line, so let's make a gentle left-hand turn.
Alright.
And just start flying onto that line. And keep that descent coming. Want to get down to pattern altitude, which will be about 2,500 feet for us.
Copy.
Alright, we kind of came through the course line a little bit. That's okay, we'll get back onto it. We've got plenty of time before we actually reach our airbase.
Right. I was going a little too easy.
Yeah, it's okay. And why don't we start pulling our airspeed back to about 350 knots.
Pulling back airspeed.
Keep that descent coming. If you need to, go idle boards.
I'm sorry, idle boards? I'm not familiar with that.
Idle power, speed brake out. Speed brake's called a board.
Got it.
There's a big board that comes up between your tails, right?
Yeah. No, I never heard it called boards before. That's new.
Yep. There's lots of terminology for different things. Some of it slang, some of it official. Alright, so nice sunny day, or nice sunny evening here in Dubai. Why don't we go ahead and make a break to landing? So we'll go left traffic for a left brake, just like we would on a carrier.
Okay.
And I got the field in sight.
Same thing, field in sight.
Raj. Let's see if I can try and get back into formation here for you, so we can get a good shot of you going into the brake.
And so for the brake, are we starting the circuit? Like I'm gonna fly on the right side of the field, loop around,
Yep.
like run that whole circuit?
Yeah, so we're basically going to do an FCLP here, Field Carrier Landing Practice, where we're going to fly just offset to the right of the runway, and we'll fly the pattern just like we would if we were landing on a carrier. And so let's keep on descending here. Let's descend down a bit more. We'll go to about 1,000 feet. Our airfield elevation here is right at about 200 feet. And so with a carrier, we want to be about 800 feet off the deck when we make the break into the pattern.
Got it.
We'll try to be about 350 knots at 1,000 feet, so keep that descent coming.
Copy.
So keep in mind here that there is a big taxiway down there, so the runway is the big asphalt stripe on the left.
Got it. I'm a little bit far right.
That's okay, we'll work with it. Alright. Looking pretty good. And then about midpoint on the runway, go ahead and brake.
Okay. Brake.
Roger that. Make it violent. Brake into the pattern. There you go.
Got it.
Idle, boards out, slow down as fast as you can, get on the deck as fast as you can. Alright, 2's in the brake.
Chevy 1-1, Dark Star 1-1, Bra 042, Fork 150 at 18,000, flanking.
Looks like you're lined up a little bit close to the runway, so you may have to extend yourself a little bit.
Right.
Alright, when you brake on the downwind, you want to make sure you have your flaps and gear down, so that way, because you're flying way away from the airfield now.
Yeah, I give myself a lot of room just because
Okay.
I'm not really good at recovering if I like misalign.
Okay.
It's something I just gotta get better at.
Yep, for sure. . all things we can work on. It's kind of uncomfortable flying slow at high angles of attack, but it's something that you have to become comfortable with if you're going to learn how to land on the carrier and things like that.
Right. I'm gonna try and get my E bracket down there.
Yep. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on into the base leg behind you here. So, and when you're lower speeds, high angles of attack coming in for a landing, it's another time when you may want to start getting into the mindset of stroking the throttle rather than moving the throttle.
Got it. Just like you were talking about with air.
Exactly. And formation flying. Need a little reduction of airspeed, bump the throttle down and bring it back. Need a little increase in airspeed, bump the throttle forward and bring it back. Really nice landing, though. Good job.
Was that it? Was that?
Little bounce, but not bad at all.
But I went to hit my comms button, but
yeah.
So when I felt like that wasn't too hard, like the way I came down.
Nope.
The first time, at least.
Yeah.
All right.
You a little bit of bounce, which means you did come down a little hard, but definitely not bad. You're right on center line, and which is always good. You know, want to be in the center of the runway as much as possible, so that way, if something goes wrong, you know, you have a tire that pops or something like that, you have plenty of runway to be able to, you know, stay on the runway rather than going off into the dirt and flipping yourself on your back.
Right.
So really good job. The only thing that would make it smoother is if you had just come in a little bit shallower and came in with a little bit more power. And other than that, it was totally good.
Awesome. Yeah, another portion of that was like the minute I got the touchdown, I celebrated a little too early, forgot to completely like throttle down, and now in between all of that, I was trying to like talk to you, and it just got a little bit much. So, but no, it wasn't too terrible.
Yeah. So one thing we can keep in mind here is aviate, navigate, communicate, talk. You know, fly the plane, then navigate, then talk.
Got it.
And one thing that can kind of help you stabilize your approaches is if you actually get into the E bracket with your air brake out. That can actually be very helpful.
Yeah. So just keep the air brake out, and then just try and adjust power and everything with that out.
Yeah, exactly. It'll keep you from getting into airspeed oscillations where your airspeed is kind of all over the place, and it will help with just stabilizing that approach, because what it'll allow you to do is fly the approach at a higher power setting, because you're going to obviously need more power to stay at the proper airspeed to make that landing, so you don't fall out of the sky, because that's a lot of drag from that air brake. And so what that allows you to have is better spool up times on the engine. So that way, because if you're at the top part of the engine's power curve, you'll be able to get a faster response from the engine than if you're going from the bottom part of the power curve of the engine.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, in a sports car, it's easy to go from, you know, a fast speed to another fast speed, but it's hard to go from a slow speed to a fast speed because of that giant engine power fluctuation. So it's kind of the same thing with a jet engine. And jet engines aren't nearly as instantaneous power changes as you would get from a piston engine like in a sports car or in a Cessna or something like that.
Got it.
So, I know I threw a lot at you today. I hope I didn't overwhelm you or anything like that.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I took it. I'm Like, it's a lot that I think I'll be able to improve my flying.
Yeah, definitely. And next time, we can work on some other stuff. How long you been flying in DCS for?
I purchased DCS, I think, earlier this year or like late last year. So I'm about on my like 6 month. I took a little bit of a break when coronavirus hit. Had to take care of a bunch of things, but
Okay.
So this is like me coming back into it. I spent the past like 3-4 weeks getting refamiliar with the F-18 and it pretty much came back to me a little bit, and this definitely helped like bust the rust and polish me off on a lot of things.
Definitely. Cool. Are you into military aviation or anything like that, or?
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely. Like one of the things that really like I loved about the DCS was like squadrons and whatnot. So I was definitely all about trying to get into one and learn the comms and formations and just tactics and everything.
Cool. So, if you want, I can give you a little bit of homework here, give you some things that you could read that would help you out in that kind of situation. One book that I think would be super beneficial for you to read is a book that's very readily available on like Amazon and things like that for an iPad, or if you want to buy the actual book, is Flight of the Intruder by Stefan Kuntz. It was made into a really terrible movie, so don't watch the movie.
I've heard. I know.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the same as DCS because it's about A6 intruder pilots in Vietnam, but we don't have an A6 and we don't have a Vietnam map. But what it does give you is kind of a pilot's eye view of flying in combat in a attack aircraft, which is an F-18 is an attack aircraft, and what the main character, Jake Grafton, is looking at. What is he looking at on his raw gear? What is he looking at outside the cockpit? What's he saying on the radio? The kind of things that you can pick up from kind of reading a book and a story from the pilot's eye perspective. When I try to give people books to read after these lessons and stuff, I always try to give them more like historical fiction books that are told from the pilot's eye, because you can read a history book from like a general or an admiral's perspective, but you don't get that kind of nitty gritty. What is the pilot looking for? What is he saying? These kinds of things.
Right. No, and that'll definitely help, because that's one thing. Like when I was doing like check flights and stuff, my